They told her to stand against the wall. The concrete was cold, stained with years of fear and silence. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, harsh and unforgiving, casting sharp shadows across the detention hall. Soldiers moved with practiced indifference, boots echoing like distant thunder. To them, she was just another detainee, another nameless woman pulled from a checkpoint after a routine inspection went wrong. Her hands were zip-tied behind her back. Her head was slightly lowered, dark hair loose, face calm to the point of arrogance. The guards whispered among themselves, their eyes flicking toward her with suspicion and irritation. "Strip search," one of them said flatly. She didn't react. Not because she was afraid. Not because she was humiliated. But because she had endured far worse in places that would never appear on a map. None of them knew who she was. They saw civilian clothing. They saw a forged passport. They saw a woman who didn't flinch when shouted at. That alone made them uneasy. What they didn't see was the lifetime of discipline behind her eyes. They didn't hear the echoes of command decisions that had changed the fate of entire operations. They didn't recognize the posture of someone who had led men into combat and brought them home alive. She was a Navy SEAL Admiral, and this was not a mistake. This was the mission. Her name, at least the one she used in this place, was Elena Cross. Officially, she didn't exist. No birth record, no service file, no rank, no medals. The real records were sealed so deep inside classified systems that only a handful of people on the planet could access them. She had volunteered for this assignment, knowing exactly how ugly it could become. The facility was not supposed to exist. Located in a politically volatile region, it was a black site detention center operated through layers of deniability. Intelligence suggested something was very wrong here. Disappearances, leaked weapons, and a shadow network selling classified military data to the highest bidder. Someone inside was betraying everyone, and Elena Cross had been sent to find out who. The guards circled her like predators, testing prey. One reached for her arm, gripping too tightly. "Move," he snapped. She complied slowly, deliberately. Every motion was calculated. Every breath controlled. She cataloged faces, voices insignias. She noticed the way one guard avoided eye contact. She noticed another whose weapon was newer than regulation issue. Small details, the kind that get men killed when ignored. They led her into a secondary room. Smaller, windowless. A camera in the corner blinked red. "Remove everything," the guard said. She met his eyes for the first time. Cold, steady, unafraid. Something in her gaze made him hesitate. Then authority reasserted itself, and he repeated the order louder. She obeyed, piece by piece, maintaining dignity in silence. There was nothing sexual about the moment. Only power, control, and the illusion of dominance the guards believed they held. The search revealed nothing. Of course it didn't. What they didn't find were the things that couldn't be detected by hands or machines. Her training, her resilience, her ability to dismantle a system from the inside without firing a single shot. When they were done, she dressed calmly. "Take her to holding," someone muttered. The door slammed shut behind her. The cell was barely lit. A metal bench, a drain in the floor, the smell of rust and despair. She sat, and she waited. Time meant nothing to her. She had survived weeks underwater, days without sleep, moments where hesitation meant death. This was easy. Hours later, the facility shifted. She heard raised voices, radios crackling, footsteps moving faster. Something was happening. Then the door opened. A man entered alone. He wasn't dressed like the others. His uniform was immaculate. His posture stiff with authority, but his eyes betrayed uncertainty. He studied her file. "You don't fit the profile," he said. She said nothing. No background. No digital footprint. No panic response. He paused. "Who are you?" She leaned back slightly, still restrained, and finally spoke. "You already know the answer," she said quietly. "You're just afraid to say it out loud." His jaw tightened. "You think you're smarter than everyone here?" "No," she replied. "I know I'm more experienced." Silence stretched between them. Outside, alarms sounded faintly. He left without another word. That night, A prisoner 2 cells down disappeared. No screams. No struggle. By morning, half the guards had been replaced. By evening, Elena Cross knew exactly who was selling secrets. And she knew the clock was running out, because extraction was coming. And when it did, the truth would surface. The kind of truth that destroys careers, governments, and men who think power belongs to them. She closed her eyes. Somewhere far away, a command center monitored a silent signal only she could trigger. And when she did, this place would never exist again. The first sign that everything was about to collapse came at 2:17. Elena didn't need a watch. Her internal clock was sharper than any device they could confiscate. She felt it in the rhythm of the facility, the slight delay between patrol steps, the nervous stutter in the radio traffic, the way doors opened a second too late. Systems under pressure always revealed themselves the same way. Fear changed patterns. A guard stopped outside her cell. He wasn't one of the originals. New boots, fresh fatigue, hands shaking just enough to notice. "You," he said, forcing authority into his voice. "Stand up." She stood. He swallowed. "You're being moved." That was earlier than planned. They escorted her through corridors she hadn't seen yet. She memorized every turn, every camera angle, every blind spot. The deeper levels smelled different, cleaner, newer. This was where the real operations happened. This was where people vanished. They stopped in an interrogation room reinforced with steel and glass. Inside, a single table, 2 chairs, a man waiting, Colonel Marcus Hale. She recognized him instantly, not from files. Those had been altered, but from the way he carried himself. Men who sold nations always believed they were smarter than the system. Hale had that confidence. Too much of it. He dismissed the guards and activated a jammer. No recordings. No witnesses. "You've caused problems," he said, sitting across from her. "Transfers delayed. Personnel reassigned. I don't like disruptions." "I imagine you don't like exposure either," she replied calmly. His eyes narrowed. "You're not supposed to know anything. Yet here we are." He leaned forward. "Who sent you?" She smiled faintly. "Not arrogance, certainty. People who don't lose," she said. For the first time, doubt flickered across his face. "Your plant," he said. "CIA?" "No." "NSA?" "No." "Then what?" She let the silence stretch until it hurt. "Someone who answers only when the mission demands it." He stood abruptly. "You think you're untouchable in here?" "No," she said. "I know I'm not." That answer unsettled him more than defiance ever could. "You'll disappear tonight," Hale said. "No record. No consequences." She met his gaze, unwavering. "Then you'll never know how close you came to being remembered as a traitor instead of a coward." His hand twitched toward the pistol at his hip. That was when the lights went out. Total darkness. Emergency power failed. The hum of the facility died like a severed artery. In the chaos, Elena moved. The zip ties snapped with a quiet efficiency that no civilian should possess. She disarmed Hale before he could react, twisting his wrist and forcing him to the floor with controlled violence. Not rage. Precision. "Ow," he gasped. She leaned close enough for him to hear her whisper. "You never strip search training." Alarms screamed back to life, but now they weren't internal. They were external. Explosions thundered above ground. The walls trembled. Dust rained from the ceiling. Extraction had begun. Hale stared at her in horror as gunfire echoed through the corridors. "What are you?" he demanded. She straightened, every trace of disguise gone from her posture. "Rear Admiral Elena Cross," she said. "United States Navy." His face drained of color. "Navy SEAL," she continued. 42 years of service. 12 classified operations you've benefited from without knowing my name." She picked up his access badge. "And you," she said, "are under arrest for treason." Outside the room, chaos ruled. Guards fired blindly. Some fled. Some surrendered. The loyal ones, the ones Hale had trusted, were already neutralized. Elena moved like memory itself, reclaiming skills no one here could match. She disarmed, incapacitated, and commanded without raising her voice. Men obeyed instinctively, not knowing why. Only that something ancient and authoritative demanded it. A helicopter's roar shook the facility. Over the intercom, a calm voice spoke. Admiral Cross, this is Viper Actual. We have visual. Corridor Delta is clear. She keyed the hidden transmitter embedded beneath her skin. Copy that, she replied. Package secured. Hale was dragged out in restraints, screaming that this was impossible, that no one would believe her authority. She stopped in front of him. They already do, she said. They just couldn't act without proof. The final explosion collapsed the data vault. Servers burned. Files vanished forever. By dawn, the facility was nothing more than scorched concrete and silence. Elena stood on the ramp of the extraction aircraft as the sun rose. Wind whipped through her hair as the doors closed behind her. Another mission completed. Another threat erased. She sat, finally allowing herself to breathe. Across from her, a young operator stared in awe. They really didn't know who you were, he said quietly. She nodded. That's the point. Before the screen fades, before the silence settles,